Hi folks, I'm Aleks U and you are awesome. Today's 10-minute conversation will be about the kid inside you, the child inside you is afraid, scared to death really. So we're gonna delve right in it. As usual, just a reminder, this is a piece of fruit, as you can see, a mango. And the reason I smelled it so deeply is because it helps me be grounded. The process of smelling something, in this case a mango, is a shortcut, a quick trick to be in the present moment, because while you're processing the smell, the brain, the chatterbox, the ego stops. It has to go in the back burner. Okay, so now that entirely present with you, let's get into the topic, which is obviously mind ego related, as the channel is Mind Triumph. The ego, the child inside you, is afraid and scared. Now, when we say this sentence, usually it's being used by teachers, and it's a common topic in the self-help or self-growth world, and in the motivational, inspirational, or the coaching world. Let's say. But the truth is, it isn't a complete sentence. The kid inside you sounds kind of cute, like when you say, the child inside me is afraid and scared and worried. This is why I have anxiety, stress, worries, which then materialize in physical problems that we experience through the body, whether it's a headache, a heartache, or high blood pressure, stomach aches, discomfort throughout the body, back pains, etc. But the truth is, that child isn't a child, but it is the ego itself indeed. You see, when we start this, what we call journey, life on this planet, and the way we understand it in a social, in a social explanation, you start as a child and you grow and develop. You, from the moment you are born, you start this game of separation, right? Like, you get a name, and from that point on, it's always a game of separation, meaning I, that person, in this case Alex, starts to develop a personality and a self, what we call a separate self, the new, and this environment that I have, right? It's me, there's a computer, mango, tree, bed, there's other human beings, and as I grow and develop, the sense of self and mind starts getting stronger and stronger, depending on the environment and circumstances you grow. It will vary. But as you can imagine, this little kid that it is starts to develop this self personality and starts to see everything external to the self. And that creates massive challenges as we go on with life. Massive challenges, very material challenges, because you grow up thinking, believing, knowing that you're this mental self that has a name, apparently has a body, that is separate than everybody else, which then opens a whole door about competition, comparing, um, often fighting, hating, um, uh, 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 like creating all sorts of drama, and always on the lookout of protecting itself against the outside world. Because to the ego, since everything is external to you, it can be a threat to you, right? Especially other egos or figures or images of other humans, right? So as we grow and develop that way, what is inevitable is suffering. I say the ego inside you, or the kid inside you, is scared and afraid. There is no other way. Like, I often, when I catch myself in stress, anxiety, worry, if I really stop and really ponder on it's very evident that it isn't a kid, the ego, that separate, segregated itself in me, that is talking, that seems to be you and it seems to be friendly to you, is actually the only problem that we have as humans. There is no other problems. Once we resolve this separation and segregation problem, everything else falls into place. But you have to understand now, if we were to take the ego, your ego aside, and we look at it from a distance, right? It's going to be very evident and clear why it behaves this way, why it has worries and stress and anxiety, which results in illnesses, suffering, drama, mental and physical, and death. That is the path of the ego, right? Because as a separated thing, that it sees itself, right? I, the self, separated, segregated, it must suffer. There's no other way, because how can you not, when you see everything is external, as potentially gonna harm you, take things away from you, you're gonna compete, you have to compete with it, be better at it. And if you don't do it to everything else, it'll do it to you. Like the it's a very sick mentality, and it's not a mentality, it's a sick setup that the ego has, and it will always fail you to live your life in a joyous and happy way. It cannot do it, because I strongly believe I'm a separate self. Of course I'm going to go through life suffering, and I've done it, and it still happens to me when I live through my ego, right? Because the ego must see everything as external to exist as itself, right? Where what you are a part of the totality. It seems like you're separate because you see yourself through the ego and self, right? And when you're dreaming the self, the dreaming of the dream of self, separate self, it's very difficult to argue with the fact that you see yourself as a separate thing. What do you mean, Alex? There's another human and there's me. So there's a obvious visual separation. But the truth is, besides this visual illusionary separation, underneath this visual, it's you're one with this being. You're one with the tree and the forest and the sky. You cannot. How can you be separate? You're in it. It's evidently that you don't live outside of life. You are in life. If anything, at least this should have a logical start in your mind, like to start something logical, even in the ego mind. I cannot exist outside of life. I must be in life. And then the next step of this thinking is I must be life. If there's life, if I'm in life, life must be in me, which means it makes me part of life. When I start thinking and seeing life through totality and togetherness, my anxiety, stress, worry, and all the physical drama and BS that we're going through, sickness, illness, and death, that starts to diminish, because now I love living, I love being part, I love existing and participating, because I'm not against everything. I am with everything. And most importantly, everything is with me. Everything is not against me. Everything is with me. Like this might sound like a simple change of mindset, but the truth is, it is. I mean, I don't know if there's anything more important than that for a human being to understand that it's not a separated, segregated self outside and external to everything and everybody else, but it's inseparable part to it. Until we understand this, the suffering will be endless. Internal, external suffering. That what it seems to be external. What I mean by that. The internal suffering is pretty self-explanatory. Pain of all kinds, illnesses, death. External suffering, what it seems to be when you're causing pain, both emotional and physical, to other humans and the planet itself. I think this is pretty easy to see. All you need to do is turn on the TV or go outside and see how much pain we cause to each other in endless ways. But this is just a representation of the state of mind that each and every human being is. And again, I am using each and every human being as saying that is separate, but you have to understand that we are a part of a totality expressing itself in many different shapes and forms, but it's never separate from itself. Believe me, this is a much easier, and it's probably the only way to truly live in a mindset of togetherness and oneness, of contribution, of participation, of sharing and caring. Because when everyone comes up from this mindset, we become one humanity, to total society and humanity, in which we grow, we develop, we support, we love, we care. Yes, it may sound like a fairy tale, but what's the opposite? Endless wars that we showed we can do, wars, killings, crimes, etc. That's the alternative. So this is on one side, be separate as much as you can on individual level, social and country level, and cause the pain to itself, to oneself and totality. and the other side you have peace and harmony, and living in a total harmony with everything and everyone else. The kid inside you isn't scared, it's the ego, and that is what the ego does. It segregates and separates you than everything else, compared to everything or to everything else. But the only flaw in the system is that you are not separate. And sooner or later, you realize that, wait a minute, buying this BS from my ego, that I'm a separate self, that everything at any time could be against me and I have to deal with all these external things against often, you understand that this is painful. It causes me pain, suffering, illnesses, discomfort, and death. That is the path. Inevitably, I choose not to do it. I choose to be present. I choose to let go of myself, allow totality to embrace me, surround me, and become one with me. Now, 10 minutes up. This is a lovely topic, but it's never really 10 minutes is enough and not enough. The truth is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. We are not this broken self kid that comes up and it wants its attention, drama, pain. You're beautiful, total human, what we call human, a being, and you're wonderful. I'm Aleks U. This was 10 minutes Mind Drive Talk. Until next time, and until next time, as I usually say, less ego and a lot more joy.